Hi everybody, welcome back to Sticks and Stones Wood Carving. I'm Kevin, and we're going to continue on with working on this block of wood that we worked on in the last video and continue practicing a face, and we'll come up with a whole face here on this block of wood. And today we'll work on maybe a set of lips or a mouth of some kind, and we'll see what we can come up with. Maybe we'll just keep going and make this guy a Native American or something. Probably be a good idea to try and get a good set of lips on them, and that way we can practice lips again, because mustaches are a lot easier, let's face it, than mouths and lips. So we'll probably do that. Beforehand, though, let me show you. This right here is the wizard, all right, that is going to Jordy's giveaway. All right, we finished him, and I was talking to Jordy a while ago, and he's said, hey, why don't you do a little bit more of a hat on that guy? So I made a quick little hat so he's a little bit more wizardy. All right, so that's what's going to be going to whoever wins that drawing for what I'm giving away. Okay, I'll show you guys that quick. So he's all done, and he's got a little bit more of a hat on. Oh, and kudos to Tammy Combs, who actually went looking around on eBay, and she actually found me. Now and then I make a bunch of stuff, and stuff builds up on me, and I'll throw some things on eBay, and I threw this little wood spirit on eBay right here, and Tammy, who's a subscriber here, actually found me there and ended up winning the auction on it. So thanks a lot, Tammy. That also helps support the channel. I'll be shipping that out to you directly. And thanks. So if anybody ever likes to do that and you want to pick up a carving, now and then I try to do it once a week, once every other week. I'll try and throw a couple of carvings on eBay, and I always start them for 20 bucks, so you have a chance to actually win. I always do an auction for 5 to 7 days. You have a chance to win one of the things I make. Might be something I probably made as a project for YouTube, actually. And you can pick it up for 20 bucks if nobody else bids on it. All right, because that's what I start them all at. So anyway, we're going to go back to this, and let's see if we can form a mouth on this guy and practice another set of lips. Okay, here we go. Okay, what I'm going to do before we even start drawing the mouth or anything on is I'm going to make sure that we get this part right here nice and round, all right? So I'm just going to take my knife, strap your knife up if you haven't, all right? And we're going to round this over and create the barrel of the mouth here, because that's going to be real important. If you want to get a good mouth, you're going to have to keep that roundness, okay? Like I said a bunch of times already in other videos recently, is if you want to have a good mouth, you have to think round, all right? Because your mouth is round, the teeth inside, everything is all rounded. So you want to make sure that you keep that roundness going, all right, before you even think of doing your mouth. So make sure that's nice and smooth, rounded over, and we're going to come down not too far, all right, probably about to here, all right? We don't want it to look too long. All right, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to draw a line going across here. Now I could take it real far over. If I want the corners of the mouth to be really long, I could bring it over to here and over to here with the corners of the eyes, all right? But that's more for a caricature type carving, I believe. Like I said, I don't really worry too much about dimensions. I just kind of look at the block of wood that I have, and that right there is going to look about good for me, about what I want, where I'm going to put that. And hopefully it will work. So now I'm going to take my V tool, okay, and we're going to run across that line with the V tool here. And at the top here, I'm just going to give it a little bit more of an upward sweep there to kind of start forming the shape of that upper lip, because that's what part that's going to be. And then we'll bring it down on this side over here, okay, just like that. And we'll try to even that out as it goes. Now I want him a little smiley. I don't want him too grumpy looking. So I do have it kind of shaped with a little upward turn here. All right. So that's going to be our start point for that upper lip. All right. Now we're going to take this other half here and we're going to start the bottom lip by angling it up. All right. And into our V cut there. Just a little bit for now. Just pushing up at a 45-degree angle and going up underneath that cut. Okay. And that's going to be our bottom lip started. So just go around, angle it up. And now that upper lip will start sticking out a little bit more. All right. And it's a little smoother down here now for when we get our veiner out or our gouge and do our next step. And we'll figure out our bottom lip. All right. Now, before we do that, we're going to come over here to the corners of the mouth. All right. And I'm going to take a little gouge or a veiner, and we're going to make just a little bit of an indentation right here. Kind of like we did the eyes, all right? I want to take some wood out here. Just like that. So we can push our upper lip and our bottom lip into, all right? These right here. There's definitely indents in the corners here. I'm sure there's a name for them. Personally, I don't really know what the name is, but there's definitely corners there. So I'm going to make 2 little indents there, and then I'm going to push that upper lip down into it, just like that. And just like that. And we're going to try and work everything into those corners, okay? Now, let's figure out our bottom lip. Our bottom lip, depending on how big we want it, I'm going to try not to go too crazy with it. I'm going to bring it across like this. And we're going to try and get it to go into that corner also, okay? Then we're going to take our little veiner or a gouge. We're going to come across just like this, and we're going to push our bottom lip into that hole we just made there, all right? Do the same thing over here. Come underneath. Try and come over and push it into that little hole, all right? Just like that. And that's going to start off his bottom lip. Then we can start rounding everything down and over. When we do our upper lip also, all right, this is going to come all the way down, excuse me, and into that hole. Okay. Bottom lip angles up 45 degrees. I'm going to turn it this way so I can get that angle, 45 degrees, okay? It's going to go up and into there. Now we're going to have to extend these smile lines down, so I'm going to make a stop cut. And we're just going to bring this up like that. Same thing over here. Let's see if I can get, there's a little chip in the nose there. Let's get that out. I'm going to bring this down. Okay. And then we're going to try and clean that up a little bit by taking our wood out there and extending that line down a little bit. If you have to do it again with the stop cut to get your chip out, do that. Because we do want this cleaner here. Okay, and the same over here. I'm going to have to take this upper part of his mouth, the barrel here, and we're going to try and clean that up all the way down so it blends together here. I should have made the barrel of his mouth a little longer, that's all, before I started this, because I made his mouth pretty big, right? So we want that to come down there. All right, now, this right here is going to be the start of his bottom lip. Underneath that, about here, all right, it's going to be about where his chin would be. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take my knife and press it down, all right, about a 45-degree angle. I'm going to come up and make a V cut here. We're going to take some wood out there. Okay, and that would be his chin starting underneath that lip, all right, that indent of his chin. Then we're going to round all this over. I'm going to get my number 8 gouge. And we're going to take this wood out here, rounding that over a little bit. And when I get up here to the corners, I'm going to come right here. I'm going to take wood out, okay, right up into the corner there and into that hole. Same over here. We're going to come up here and take some wood out on the sides. And try and blend all this together. Any high spots I'm taking down, that's all. Okay. I'm just rounding everything over here on the bottom. Because once we get this chin going here, a little bit lower is where I would start putting his jaw in. All right. The whole bottom of his face and everything with this tool. And just get a little idea. And what would happen is we would bring this up. All right, and it would make it a little more square. Probably about here. And that would be about where the way our face would start going up. All right, this would be the bottom of his face here. We would take all that out, give ourselves a stop point. All right. For now, I'm just going to round all this over, clean it up. And start blending it together here before I confuse everybody with too much going on at once. We're going to round that chin over just a little bit. Okay, because we're trying to get that chin underneath that lip. When we push this lip back a little bit, it should indent, okay? And then you have the bottom of his face down here. Let me show you that right here, okay? So that right there, I mean, people would call that the chin. So when we're talking about the chin, it's not really the very bottom of his face here, all right? It's actually a little bit of an indent, because when you take your veiner and you go underneath this lip, right, like so, to make that lip a little bit more evident, all right, there's going to be an indent under there where his chin actually starts, all right. So I'm just going to go underneath that with this little veiner and start bringing that line down a little bit on both sides here. All right, right underneath the lip and down on one side, down on the other. Then we'll clean it with our knife because that veiner is a little bit small. All right. And then when we start looking at it from the side, we'll have a lot of little detail. See, this is his chin here, but this right here, we're going to take down a little bit. So when that lip comes down, because we're going to round this over, all right, just like this. Because again, remember we were talking about the features of the face, all right, where the bottom lip is definitely a little bit higher than the chin, but lower than the upper lip. And that's all profile stuff. I'll show you that in a second. I'm just cleaning up under here. Okay. So this bottom lip, we're going to take it back a little bit more and more, and it's going to be a little bit behind the upper lip. All right. And then this part here will be, there'll be an indent, and the chin will actually be a little bit behind that if you're looking at trying to get a little more realistic proportions. So all this gets rounded. All right. We just wanted to cut our features in first, and then we can round them and take them off and try to keep everything as we go here. All right. So this is all going to get rounded over and get taken down. In other words, right? The bottom lip's going to do the same thing. I'm going to start rounding it over and taking it down because we don't want it sticking out real far. All right. But we do want it angled up as we do that. You have to keep angling it up. Like I say, don't forget that's a 45-degree angle going up and under that upper lip. Because we definitely don't want it, this big jutting lip underneath his upper lip sticking out. Okay. All right, so now it's starting to come back a little bit. This right here is still a little bit high. We'll keep rounding this over and keep that bump there. And as we start pushing towards the sides, we will have to start cutting that jaw in here a little bit so we can get rid of a lot of this marker line here. All right, so we're going to cut this in. Used to doing this with chisels. And this on a board, not holding it away from me. So we're going to go around with small V cuts here. All right, push it in, push it down, push it in, push down. And we'll try to start getting an idea of where we want that jaw to be. Okay? The jaw line, I mean. Sorry, I'm all over the place here right now. This is a thick piece of wood. I'm using a big rough out knife here. And trying to gather my thoughts. So I can try and talk you guys through this. All right, I'm leaving this chin about where it is, and we're going to start cutting it in a little bit more, a little bit deeper. Okay. And I don't want it too pointy, so I'm squaring it off a little bit. Think of it as kind of 3 planes. One plane here with an angle going up, flat here, okay, underneath, and then another plane going up 45 degrees over, about there, okay. And that should be just enough to start cutting that in and get the kind of shape we want, and then we'll follow it up on the sides as we continue our carving and as we need to. Okay, so now it's starting, everything's starting to kind of line up a little bit more. We're going to take this down a little bit more now. And we're going to keep checking it from the profile because we don't want it to look too far out. Okay, we want to try and get all this to come back a little bit. And a lot of this is process of elimination, you know, as we go. We're going to keep shaping, but we're going to try and keep some of those small little cuts that we have in there so we know where we're going, like coming down here, so we can get that chin and everything that we want looking right. I'll put another divot there again. Okay, I think this one I'm going to make a little bit higher here. Just making a V cut, and it's going to stick out down here for a minute, but you see the effect it's going to have. All right, underneath, right here, right, is the same kind of effect we want underneath the lip up here, right? Because that's what that chin is going to do. That's the effect it's going to have when we take wood out here now. Okay, it's going to give you that little bit of a swoop coming from under the lip and going into the bottom of the chin there. Okay. Really hard to do holding it away from me, but you get the idea. So you see, this is going to be the bottom lip, and underneath there, we're starting to form a little bit of a depression for the chin. And then once we round this over and everything, our dimensions will start looking a lot nicer. So right now, I don't know if I'm explaining this right for you guys. I know what I want to do, but trying to tell you what I'm about to do is a little harder than you think when you're trying to do it and then explain to somebody what you're doing. So I will try to clear it up then. And when it's over, you'll see what I meant. Anyway, excuse me. So bottom lip is here. Upper lip's up here. Bottom lip we're going to take down a little more. And we want to indent underneath the bottom lip right here. And then the chin. Okay. So that's what I mean anyway. And really, I'd just be pushing all this back. But I wasn't really planning on making a Native American when we started this. And there are certain features that we're going to have if we want one to come out decent. So that's why I'm going about it this way. Because we could have just stuck a nice little mustache on this guy and it would have been sufficient. All right. But you can see now he's starting to form a little bit better look from the side. Okay. And once we clean everything up and push it into the sides and I get rid of these cheeks a little bit, we'll be able to really clean this up nice. All right, we're going to round this bottom lip over a little bit more because we don't want it sticking out too far, like I said. And like I said, if this carving, whether the dimensions were perfect or not, if it starts looking really good, that's where I'll leave it. And I'm not going to care who says, oh, your bottom lip should be here or your bottom lip should be there and the dimensions are wrong. And you know what? If you look at it and it looks like you want it to, that's what you do. Because it has to be as pleasing to the eye. Most people aren't going to know the exact features. They're not going to know if he's not 5 eyes wide. You know what I mean? All that stuff. They're going to look at it and they're going to go, wow, I really like that. Or not. So, if you get him to look good and he doesn't look all stupid and goofy to you, keep that look and move on. I'm not going to stress real hard. I'm trying to tell you the dimensions so you guys know. Because I'm trying to teach it a little bit for you, you know. But I'm no expert in keeping dimensions, that's for sure. You know, like I said, I just kind of do my own thing. If he starts looking good, I'll keep that and I'll go with that. And I'm not really going to worry about it because my whole goal is to make a decent carving and hopefully sell it. I mean, that's what I do, you know. So, I don't want you to stress over it, but I'm mentioning it because if it's not looking right to you, chances are you need to think about those dimensions just a little bit more, you know, because like I said, if they are too far off, then definitely he's not going to look right. All right. So again, think about it. The upper lip should actually be, now in this one, once I flatten that upper lip, I might have to take the lower lip back again. All right. So right now I'm just going around and I'm working it slow. And I'm going to take it down a little at a time with small cuts because we haven't really even cut that whole upper lip in yet. I'm just rounding it off a little bit and trying to take it down because it should be not sticking out past the upper lip. is this dimension, the bottom lip. Should be a little underneath the upper lip, not sticking past it, okay? This part here, the chin, should actually be down a little bit when we start taking this down, and it should be a little bit behind the bottom lip. And that's what that dimension is supposed to be. But if he looks good, and like I say, real faces, you'll see a lot of people with their chins their way out here, you know. So it's not something we're really going to care too much about, as long as we can get his face to look nice. Okay? All right. Okay. Now he's starting to come down. We're taking him down a little bit more. His bottom lip's definitely a little under the upper lip now, right? Maybe just a little on this corner here. Well, looking at him from the side, he's getting closer to where I want him to be. So I'm going to take my veiner here, and I'm going to undercut that just a little bit. It's a little too big right here, so. And underneath the lip, I'm going to make this U-shaped cut. Just like that. And then we could take that out a little bit more, all right? But we're going to run that right down till it's off the wood. Down till it's off the wood, and we're going to make a separation there for that chin. Okay. And we're going to have to round this lip off a little bit more, angle it up and all that, and try and get it to go over here to the corners of the mouth. Now, the corners of the mouth right here, I'm going to take wood out. Right there. I'm going to make that deep in the corners of that mouth. Okay. Same over here. We're just going to take some wood out. And come down from the top here. We'll have to blend all this together later. All right. But I do want to take some wood out here. All right, and then we can clean that up a little bit if we have to with our knife to get rid of those veiner marks. All right. And we'll try to round everything over and keep the face flowing into the sides of the carving here. So we are going to have to cut the sides in soon, which I should have done by now, because I'm going to keep hitting over here and digging up the corners of the mouth. And if I want to clean him up, that's what I'm going to have to do. But I want to get that profile right here, for the most part, at least fairly symmetrical. And sticking out just enough that it'll look okay, all right? When he's viewed from the side, right? And I can tell you one thing, I'm definitely not going to cut that nose in too much, but at least this is basswood, because I really do like to get that pushed back. I don't like such a bump there. I would take that back more for a Native American without such a bump at the top. Maybe just a slight bump. All right, to get him to look a little bit nicer. All right, and just have a small bump there. Last time I was trying to give him a nice big bump, and it was cottonwood, and it was pretty flaky, and it just busted right off. Basswood won't do that because it's definitely got tight grain and is not flaky. Cottonwood bark, all you need is to hit one section that's just all flakes if you don't check the piece before you carve it. And you'll lose half of your carving sometimes if you get a little into some bad stuff until it starts getting tighter grain. Okay, so that kind of nose won't look bad if we're going to do an Indian here. The profile's not looking too bad. This chin's got to come down a little bit more, and we're going to have to start doing something with the sides of the face here. So, let me get a piece of sandpaper here for a second, because I don't like all this. I am digging him up a little. I know this isn't a great tutorial, but I say, just because I know how to do lips, if I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm no expert in trying to do anything. I mean, I still have to figure my stuff out too and work on it until it looks good. So, we're learning together here as I go. But I will be able to pull one off if I just sit here and take my time. Just don't know if I could do it on video. Okay. So he's starting to look not too bad. And like I said, if that chin doesn't come back, I'll take it back just a little bit more. But if it starts making the face look a little stupid, I'll just leave it the way it is, because I don't think anyone's really going to matter when we take all this out. It'll be easy to take that down then, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to leave it a little bit for now, because we still haven't taken anything out underneath him yet, as far as under his jaw and underneath around his neck area here. All right. All this comes out. So I'm going to shave this up. And I'm feeling that this knife may have to start getting, oh, there it goes. Must just be the grain there. All right. I'm going to start taking some of this out and deepening underneath here, so we can start shaping the sides of his face. Okay. I don't know, since I made the face so wide on this, if we can get any braids in this guy or not. We might have to think of something else. But at least, if anything, and he doesn't turn out to be a Native American, he'll turn out to be a carving with a set of lips that we practiced. Okay. And the lip itself, like coming up here on the top here, I would think straight down here. Boom. All right. We're just going to try and make it cut straight down. We're going to try and do it in 2 parts. One on this side, to start forming the shape of that upper lip. Okay. So think straight down. And then 45 degrees up from the bottom. If you got to stop, cut it a little. Okay. And that'll start forming the shape of that upper lip. We're going to come over here on this side. We're going to do the same thing. Think straight down. All right. And just do little cuts at a time. And try and get that upper lip to stick out a little bit like that. And then we can shape that. And that's how you get that effect of the upper lip. And that part, that's kind of heart-shaped. And the way you do that is take a small gouge. We're going to come right here at the top. And we're going to scoop a little piece of wood out. Then we're going to take our knife and we're going to pop that chip out. Okay. Then we can start shaving this ever so slightly up to that. And we can shape those lips. Okay. So that's how you would do that. And then you just come up here and you would take pieces of the lip off where it gets skinnier down here. You'd shave it, you know, and leave it thicker at the top up there. And you start getting that lip shape. Okay. You could do that with a gouge or your knife. And as you go, you simply keep cleaning the barrel of the mouth up and you start getting that look that you want. All right. Now, right here, I went a little too far. This should actually be, there should be an indentation. Where's my gouge? Because that lip should go into the sides of the corners of the face. If I could find, this is a bit big for this, but right here, there should actually be, you know, it should be going into there. Okay, into the corners of the face. Which is what I was talking about before. So when you're looking at them from the side, the lip should tuck under there, okay? So I might have to adjust that a little bit on both sides. We're just trying to get that mouth in for now. But we do want it to go into the corner of the face. And that little indentation there. So I'm going to take some wood out here. And we'll try to keep it deep in those corners. And we can mess with that a little bit as we go also. All right. So we got a pretty decent lip. The chin needs to come down just a little bit more. So I'm going to use what I got in my hand at the moment, this little gouge, and I'm going to run across the chin. Sorry, I know this isn't the greatest teaching tutorial, but I am trying to tell you about what you should be looking for, and you take it down as you go, you know, as you learn. So I'm just using my gouge here to take this chin down a little bit so he's not too far sticking out. We'll leave this part a little bit higher, okay? And we'll get some shadow with that again with the gouge, but if I want to take the chin down just a little more, I have to take that down too, and then just recut it, all right? Not going to worry about how many marks I leave, because we'll clean them up later. Okay. So I'm just going around, taking wood out, because I want all this to come down just a little bit. So you guys get the idea of the dimensions and what we're looking for. Upper lip should stick out a little more than this. This should stick out a little more than this, okay? If you're close, don't worry about it. I really need a veiner here, not a gouge. Okay. Just making the same cuts and repeating the process. Whoops. And then trying to take everything down. Because once we take this down and we get it about right, then we'll just undercut his whole neck right here, and all that'll pop back out. Okay. The whole process I'm going for, though, is to try and get this chin at least even, and even back a little further than that bottom lip, right? And even that bottom lip, like I said, if I want to keep working on it, this should actually come down just a little bit more to have those dimensions right. Okay. Angled up. So like I said, the dimensions are, they're a great rule of thumb. They really are, all right? So you can have your carving end up looking okay, but they're not set in stone, especially with a caricature, all right? But they will actually help you with your carving not looking too goofy or stupid. If he's just not looking right to you, you have them as a guideline, you know, to figure out why you're, say you're Indian, like this guy, you know, just doesn't quite look right. All right. But if you're doing a caricature and it doesn't really matter, you don't have to worry about it. See, now we're starting to get that chin to come back, or at least be even with that bottom lip, and he'll look a little bit more natural. And then once we take the wood out from underneath, you know, underneath here, we still have our whole face, all right? We didn't lose anything there, all right? We are going to have to cut these sides in, though, and I don't know what I'm going to do about putting braids on this guy or anything. I don't really know if we could. Let's see something for a minute here. If we took this down a little bit, like this. Do we have enough room on this block? We just might. Maybe we could bring this down like this, you know, and give him maybe a pointed type of braid. And the same over here. Give him some kind of braid. And then we'll have a point actually to cut that face into, because we really do have to cut the face in to get this right down here and the neck and everything. Okay, so that right there is what we're going to go with for that. And I'm going to start cutting this stuff in so we can really work on this face, because just having this part flat without pushing everything back is screwing me up a little bit, I got to admit, and it's digging up here. I really need to get my gouge in there, and I need to start framing that face in. It'll be a lot easier to get this guy into the wood. So that's what we're going to start working on next. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my rough out knife, all right, and I'm going to stop cut up here because I really want to start getting a forehead in on this guy, all right, and I need a place to start. I'm going to go all the way down to frame this face in, about to here, I guess, all right. And then we're going to start getting some of this wood to push back and into that stop cut, okay, because we really need to start working all of this back, his forehead, because his brows are way too high right now. All right, so I'm going to start with that at the top here. I'm just going to push that back a little bit. Then he'll start looking a little more like what we're expecting, since we changed the whole aspect of what we were doing and we decided to make a Native American, all right? And I said I was going to make another one anyway, because the first little one I did was on one of them little 1-inch pieces of wood, remember? And we didn't have eyes or anything in that one. So we're cutting the forehead in here. I'm going to put it down so I can get a good stop cut in. And I'm going to try and bring it down the sides of the face here, and actually right into the hair that I drew on. Like that. Okay, let's see. That way that'll start giving me a better idea where I'm going with my braids too. I'm going to stay away from them eyes there. I got so much marker on here, I don't know where my stop cut is, guys. Let me see if I can clear this off here without making too many cuts that are just going to get me in trouble, like always. I got to get some of that marker off. Okay, there's a stop cut right there, and it is close to the eye. Don't know if I want it that close. Let's see. So we take it out and just risk it. Come back over to here and dig it, push it in. Yeah, we should be able to work with that. All right, so I'm going to go with that outside. Make it just a little bit deeper, and we'll take the braid out from there. All right, over here. I do have, see what happens when you make too many stop cuts? I got all this to contend with now, and that's why I say if I can't see my stop cut, I really need my visor on, and I need it close. But that's all right. We'll be able to deal with that. And take this down a little bit here. And make sure that we go all the way up. And that whole piece that we're going to make the braid out of, or his hair out of, is going to stick out now and give us plenty of wood. All right. And it'll start giving us something to push that face back into, okay? Same over here on this side. Since this is so thin, I'm going to do about the same. I'm not going to go too far, but I do have to start at the braid. And we will take the inside line for that stop cut. I'm only making one. And then we're going to try and push some of that wood into that cut with our removal cut all the way up. If it doesn't pop out, revisit that stop cut just a little bit. And now at least his face is framed in, and now we have a stop cut to push his face into and make the hair stand out on the sides. Okay, there we go. So that's a little bit better. Now we can start working some of this back. Sorry for all the drama. I said, I could be teaching and know what I want to do, but talking and getting distracted and just being on camera and having that in your way and just being old, can screw you up right in the middle of a carving. Because you want to explain stuff, but you want to do stuff, and then you kind of lose track of where you're at. But we'll get her done. Okay. So, his profile, I'm not going to mess with too much, because once we take all this neck out here, I'll be able to just push this stuff down a little bit, and our dimensions are going to end up pretty much the way they should be. We are going to have to work the corners of the mouth a little bit better. Once I can push that face in, it'll be easy. And rounding this lip off just a little bit more to take it underneath the bottom one won't be that hard either. But if he looks okay, we might not even have to mess with that too much. Like I said, just a little bit taking it down. But every time I take it down, I have to re-angle it back. And, so you're always still going through the same thing, no matter how much you're shaping. It's going to be just going back to the same thing. The bottom lip's going to be 45 degrees angled up into that upper lip, okay? And into the corners of the mouth. And all that stuff that we talked about, right? See, now it's still coming down just... Now, if you look, when I actually take this down and we make this a little more evident, this top lip, you will see that it is probably sticking a little bit higher than that bottom lip once we take this one last bottom piece off. Or round it off, I mean. Okay. So we're about to where we want to be real soon. And little adjustments won't be a problem. But at least you're learning about what dimensions you should be going by. Whoops. That's why I have more than one knife. I almost caught it, but I've learned my lesson trying to grab a knife when it falls out of my hand. Very rarely have I cut myself in a long time with my knife, but I have dropped it and tried to grab it just from reaction and cut myself. Okay, so if it falls, let it fall. Okay, starting to look a little better. Doesn't look too bad from that side. Once we start cutting his neck out and these braids in, we'll see how much we can dig underneath here and get everything to pop out. Okay, what I'm going to do next is finish cutting this braid in, right? We're going to bring it all the way down, all right? Just running my line down. And we're going to try and relieve that wood. I got to put this down for this guy. Sorry, he's still a little chunky, so. Hard to hold. Can I get that stop cut out there? Can't even see the stop cut. All right. Now I could do this with my V tool also, which would probably be a better idea than me trying to do it with my knife, because when I do it with my knife from this distance, I am holding it pretty far away from me on the table. I end up making too many stop cuts and digging up my project. And because my knife's sharp, believe me. All right. And you can see when I cut here, there's nothing wrong with that knife. All right, that's me, guys. But I should use the V tool to cut those in. I'm going to try and get some of this wood off on the point, so we can start seeing about where we're at on this guy. So I'm going to take this neck down. I'm going to keep pushing this wood back, and I'm going to take this corner off right here. All right, and we're going to start rounding all that back and pushing it up under that hair to get the braids to stick out. Okay, might do that a little off camera.